Capricorn, welcome back for your November reading. For those of you who are new, welcome. And if you are wanting a booking, you can go to the link directly below. Now, I've pulled some chakra cards connected to your health, and I'll hyperlink it into the entirety of the reading if I can. And we'll have a look at what's happening in the beginning of the month. Now, this energy can flow through for the entirety of the month. However, if I can, I will try and do an update. Generally speaking, you do get a mid-month reading, but if I'm guided to, I will pull cards during the month, week by week. Now, in the new year, yes, there will more so be more readings, but on a catch-up factor, I'm trying to keep it simple at the moment. If you're wanting a booking, however, go to the link and we can tee that up, but it is self-service, so to speak, where you can pick a date and a time, and it is very simple to do. So the link is below. Now, as for the area of health, how this is going to impact you. Now, it may mean that you need to be very grounded this month, okay? So this can be connected to your intuition. It can be how you perceive things, also to a degree of the way you are looking at situations. So you may not have the complete guidance in how everything is going to pan out for you spiritually. And again, as I said, I will try and hyperlink it into the reading to help you understand. So this chakra is anything connecting for you spiritually this month of support, love, signs and synchronicities, and direction. So it is in reverse. Now, the chakra can be overused or underused to a point it can become imbalanced. And again, you can eat the food groups of that color. Also, you can do meditation to help balance that chakra. Now, also you have responsibility. And again, this is connected to the yellow food groups for the chakra. So it's anything in relation to your discipline, you really trying to push through regardless of lack of clarity, you having power in that energy and frequency, and trying to keep the consistency of reliability. It may be you might have excessive burdens on you, and it might be tying up of loose ends connected to what you hold as an aspect of your sense of responsibility as well as others. Now, in your wealth sector, our diversity supports our individual freedom. Now, it may be that you're finding that your thoughts, your beliefs in the workplace is very different to other people's. It might be a very supportive environment. It might not be. Now, when I'm tuning into this card, it can be your mind is on a soul connection, because the card equates to 11 when you break it down. So this year might have been for you at a financial level, differing views when it comes to how to use your wealth, what to do with your wealth, and how to move forward with it. Now, again, this can be connected to somebody that isn't currently with you and wishing for a reconnection. Now, in a non-love domain, it can mean that you want to go back to a previous employer, for those of you who this is relevant, or get to a point where money is coming back to you and in a more balanced fashion for you spiritually. You're trying to take responsibility of a situation in your wealth house, as well as you might not have complete guidance as to how this is going to go. So it might be trying to sort things out due to an enemy or somebody who... this can even be your personal frequency of you feeling you're at war with your income. Many of you might have actually transferred employment because spiritually you weren't in alignment with it. Now, because it's the number 1 year, it is a foundation year. So if you're having second thoughts about it, try not to get too triggered. Sometimes in that transformative stage, everything goes by the wayside. So if that's the case with you guys, try not to get too triggered by it, because that transformation does come through in a sense where you do have a better outcome at the end of it. But half the time going through the storm is part of the process to get to the other side. Now, regardless of what you're wanting to do in your wealth sector, perhaps seeking assistance from a financial advisor or a mentor or somebody in a professional field, if that's what's required. But also a divine timing, I'm hearing, is directly related. you know, in a transfer of what is happening. Now, some of you may need to travel for employment. It might be you're actually moving towards a location, and you're not knowing how this is going to go, and there can be a complete transformation. Like I said, try and be patient. For some of you, it might be a transfer from one to the other, and you're taking accountability and responsibility. Some of you also may have a boss that isn't there, and you're having to take on more responsibility in that domain. Now, when it comes to the money, I'm being shown that in the past you're regretful of some actions connected to the cash component. It is the past. Try and leave the frequency in the past, because what you put out, even at a giving sense, sometimes we give and we think, gosh, why did I do that? You know, now I'm actually needing it. Try not to worry about that too much, because I do see it actually coming back to you in good karma. So the frequency of that is going to balance out. Now, in your happiness sector, let's see. I can focus on what I do. I can focus on what I do want in a relationship. Now, again, this is in reverse. So it may be that you're like, well, I thought I knew what I wanted, but now things aren't so clear. Now, it does seem relevant considering you have guidance in reverse. So it may be you're waiting to hear from somebody, or you're waiting for that alignment to occur. This can be even, as I said, travel and knowing where that compass is. Now, it can be for some of you, because I've seen 11 and now not knowing. I did foresee movement. Now, when you look on the card, there's the sun and the moon, which is feminine and masculine energy. It is lining up, but I'm feeling towards the end of the year, which we're nearing that now, so it is relevant. And again, duality too. As long as you are connected inside yourself and taking accountability of what you need to do in your life, I feel for those of you who this is relevant, it is going to balance out. Now, when it comes to happiness, it may be that this month you're meditating on what does make you happy within connections. This can be within your employment, within your life, you know, not just what's outside of yourself, but what's inside, and you're really taking accountability of what makes you happy. It may not... The answer is more inside than outside, especially since the guidance card is in reverse. So again, it can be your intuition. You're questioning your intuition. If your intuition is nagging and nagging and nagging at you, it's actually clarifying that in fact you're correct. So try not to second guess yourself when it comes to it, even though the card is in reverse. Now, clarifying the indecision of what makes you happy. It's because something hasn't made you happy at a point, something used to. So you don't know why this person or this issue, subject, etc. is in your mind, and you're trying to gain clarity on it. It's a healing time at the moment for you. There can be some suppression of old energies coming up where you're meditating upon that. But it can be that because so much has changed, is that you're having now the time to reflect back. And especially if this message is relevant for you and you currently don't have employment, 9 times out of 10 when that happens, it's because the universe is providing you with an opportunity to meditate upon the things that have transpired. Generally speaking, during that transition, you will be protected and looked after. So try and have faith in that part, that you will be protected and provided for while you're going through that transformation. But if you are needing to do things and it is within your power, by all means, please do that. Okay, now what you're not seeing. Life is supposed to be good for me. Now, again, in reverse, you're thinking you're cursed. You're not cursed, okay? It's a transformative period. What you're not seeing is... How do I put it? Let me tune in a bit more, because there's a few messages coming through. I think because you're going through this transformation, you're not even seeing that you're almost at the end of the tunnel. You do have the transformation card. You also have the widower card, the end of doing one thing and the beginning of a new. So it's almost like the death of ego. it can also be the end of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one. And because you can't see it, it's more a vibration and a feeling. You're not going to see this transformation coming. And a lot of times when it's a bit like going through the dark night of the soul, that's the only way I can relay the message through to you. It's like you're going through the tunnel, and at the end you can't, it's just so dark because it's like one thing after the other, that when you do finally get to that just last point, it's like there's a door. So you're at the end of the tunnel, but the door's there and you're opening the door. You don't actually realize how close you are to it, especially since this is the aspect of the unseen. And it's closer than you think. So try and hold faith to that factor, and try and keep going if you can. Also, if you are feeling really not so grounded, try and lessen your responsibilities of what aren't directly yours to not hold those aspects. So it can be burdens and blocks that you've held on to that perhaps you had no choice. How do I put it? We can take accountability for our actions. But if you've got this blame connected to perhaps what you've done, by releasing it and healing it and learning from any past tense situations, you can move forward, and it can actually reduce some of the burdens on you for you to move forward freely. So even just the vibration, sometimes we can't leave the memory, but by processing it, it's purging it. Something somehow is showing you that, you know, life is hard work, but life doesn't have to be hard work. It is part of our learning. But when we change that channel, even in the most simplest of moments, we can transfer it to be a nicer kind of vibration. Okay, now actions, transformations, and potential outcomes. Our source is one of love, not condemnation. Again, don't condemn yourself for any aspects of responsibilities you were unable to kind of uphold. It might have been a 3D situation that prevented you from following something through completely. It could have been at a financial level, especially since you've got faux connected to past tense frequency. And within your happiness sector, old relationships or old wounds connected to things, the healing in that, it can be that you did the very best you could, and to move forward, not quite knowing how it's going to go and if this person's going to come back, if that's what you're wanting, trying to keep grounded in that frequency so that you can continue forward to get the best possible outcome. So healing yourself, also being open to understanding that every person goes through transformations, but you may start having dreams connected to an individual. Try and understand that forgiveness comes from self. So it's not that you might have done anything wrong and you've got to have a conversation. For some of you, it may be a conversation, but I'm feeling more it's you have high expectations of yourself. So whatever this is, try and go easy on yourself. It has been a very long year. And go through that aspect. So if there is anything you can do, I would say release. If there is a purge and a necessity to let go and trust in what is to be. Now, actions, it may be connected to home. It also may be connected to a birthday or a celebration individual. So it may be asking you to celebrate, regardless of what's transpired, regardless of finances. Try and find your happy way to celebrate this month, especially for birthdays. Couples, your crowning energy is integrity in reverse. So there may be some regret or some imbalance. Now again, externally to the situation, it may be due to responsibilities or lack of intuition and guidance and cross wires. In the past, there was huge ambition. Now, this could be overworking, you know, very optimistic and pushing forward regardless of things transpiring. Also where the relationship, both of you put the effort in, but something changed, okay? Now, in the heart of the matter, again, the ironic thing is for your chakra and your health, you have guidance in reverse, which is connected to your intuition. But in the heart of the matter, you have the intuition card. So you generally have to or may have had to use your intuition connected to this relationship. Now, due to fatigue and something that you're dealing with external to yourself. Currently, your partner may be very independent, or you may need to be very independent in this current situation. So it might be that you're both individually doing things that is very separate than within the connection. So it's taking away the integrity of the foundation of the relationship. So if you can, try and keep grounded. Try and use your intuition when it comes to not only the external, but more so the internal, because what I'm seeing is there's a lot nagging at you that's past tense frequencies. There's also external vibrational situations that you're trying to heal, and it just feels it's one more extra straw on the back. In the future, there is going to be a fresh start, so it can be in the way you deal with each other or in the way you communicate, and this can just be a current way of moving through the frequency in your current relationship. Now, those of you who are on the fence, this can be singles or couples, because even singles can have options where they're going, oh, what way do I go? Love is really on your mind, okay? Those of you who are at a left or right. And again, intuition. So unless your intuition's grounded, really the guidance that's coming through is don't make a brash decision, because until you have that grounded frequency where you have the complete clarity, I find it's going to be very hard for you to make an intuitive feeling, although not a feeling, an intuitive decision. The problem with the intuition, okay, intuition and responsibilities. If we're only coming from that basis, we need to ask ourselves the question, is this based on love? Not what the expectations are, not what my intuition tells me. What is my heart telling me? Where? Because especially in your happiness sector, it's like you're avoiding an aspect of that subject matter. Now, it doesn't mean to say that you're not happy in your relationship, but if you're only coming from your intuition, you're going to get headaches, number one. And if you're only coming from an aspect of responsibility, both of those frequencies are very heavy frequencies to handle. And number one, they won't constantly be enjoyable because they're going to be burdens. And it will feel overwhelming. I'll say that much. So especially when it comes to using your intuition with love, generally speaking, as I mentioned in the other readings, if you're manifesting something in or using your intuition. Now, feminine energies is governed by intuition. Masculine is via the sacral chakra, I believe. Now, with that aspect in mind, depending on whether you're masculine or feminine, male or female, if we are trying to manifest or meditate upon, similar to Tesla, what we can get is the double-sided sword, okay, the double-edged sword, simply because heart chakra-based manifestation, if we're passionate about it and we're open to giving and receiving, it will naturally come about in a correct accord. Now, obviously, 3D situations need to be cleared up in order to make particular decisions, although sometimes tower moments can happen in order for that to happen. However, in this case, if you're trying to meditate upon what to do in love, realize that by thinking of the worst case scenarios, you're actually manifesting that frequency in too. So although it's healthy to meditate, also be mindful that while meditating, you're actually, it's a bit like conjuring. It's a bit, because you're going to get both aspects. You're going to get the negative and the positive. So you're still going to get what you wanted, but there's going to be a frequency conversion for you, not just coming from the heart. Do you get what I'm saying? There is faith connected to this situation. So you do have faith in whatever's going to be is going to be. And it can be connected to a marriage or taking something to the next level, however this relates to you. Again, look at your rising signs. Some of you can actually be fertile as well during this time, or this can be pregnancy. So on the fence could even be making a decision about, do I have a child? It doesn't have to be just connected to, do I want to leave a person? Anything you're on the fence about, number one, you're passionate about it, but you're unsure. So the ego can be involved. You do have faith in it. There is abundance if the road is taken. So take it how it directly relates to you. Again, you must place in mind it has to be something you're comfortable with, because ultimately we can get guidance, but if we're seeking outside ourselves and it doesn't directly relate to us and we're doing it, we're actually choosing that path. So be comfortable with whatever path you're spiritually choosing correct for you. Now, singles. Some of you are quite stuck, and it's like you're in the dark about something and you're trying to move forward, but you just feel, again, with the lack of guidance, you're trying to be responsible to not bring other people into a situation that for you spiritually right now feels a bit confusing. In the heart of the matter, there can be gossip connected to this situation, or you may hear gossip in relation to what you're trying to bring in. There may be people talking about what you're doing and telling you how to go about situations. This can be for some of you frustrating. In the past, you feel either this person or you was innocent. And there may be pride in the present connected to communication. I'm also saying that you're being very rational when it comes to this. You don't want to make any rash decisions. And again, the guidance for you is very much to try and make a decision when you are feeling completely grounded and you're coming from the heart. Even without clarity, if you are in that frequency and you directly know what you're passionate about, it's not a wrong decision. You're choosing your truth. We can choose not to own our truth, right? But if we're living in that, at some point, it will directly impact us. So it's almost like you've picked the channel, but you're ignoring the channel. But the sound is getting louder and louder. So regardless of walking in that direction, if you've tuned into it, you're already there. Okay? Love and light. Bye.